It's a hell of a week to launch a new show, says Jen Psaki as she debuts her MSNBC program with a focus on Donald Trump and less on Joe Biden. It's a hell of a week to debut a new show, Jen Psaki, the first White House press secretary for Joe Biden, said to the audience on the first day of her new MSNBC program on Sunday. It was anticipated that she would start off with the big story of the weekend, Donald Trump's potential arrest and his call for protests, given MSNBC's extended coverage of the former president's alarm. Her challenge with Inside with Jen Psaki will be to stick out and make a mark in a very crowded field of Sunday Beltway programs. Her left-of-center viewpoint and background as a communications strategist make her a natural choice for the network's opinion show viewers, but with this program she is transitioning from the position of NBC News pundit to that of cable host, a change that calls for interviewing skills and the ability to be personable. Clearly, MSNBC is hoping that Psaki will be ready to move to bigger roles at the network, similar to Nicole Wallace, who is now a daytime mainstay, in light of the fact that all news networks struggle to keep audiences, particularly younger audiences. The timing of Psaki's show at noon ET, after many of the broadcast network's Sunday programs have run, puts pressure on it to offer a fresh perspective on the Trump narrative. Psaki played a clip from Mike Pence's appearance on ABC News this week earlier in the morning, during which the former vice president criticized Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg's possible prosecution of Trump. Psaki was kicking off an interview with her first guest, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Pence knows better and has embarrassed himself, and that is unfortunate, according to Jeffries, who also suggested that the New York prosecutors be simply allowed to do their job. For the most part, Jeffries was in familiar terrain because he had plenty of time to discuss Democratic talking points. Jeffries was also not questioned about a recent topic, discord within the Democratic caucus as Biden shifts to the center on some issues in preparation for a possible 2024 presidential bid. Psaki's inquiries weren't accusatory, but they weren't either superficial. She did question Jeffries about whether Democrats would support House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's promise to have committees look into whether government funds are being used to make politically motivated prosecutions, which he made in a tweet on Saturday. Jeffries declined to respond immediately but said he would refer the question to Reps. Stacey Plaskett, DVI, the top Democrat on the Special Weaponization of Government Committee, and Jerry Nadler, DNY, the top Democrat on the Judiciary Committee. In addition, Jeffries attacked the Weaponization Committee, claiming that its true name should have been the Committee to Protect Insurrectionists. However, when Psaki questioned him a short while later regarding a Washington Post report that he and McCarthy had made a truce of sorts, Jeffries responded that they had a positive, forward-looking relationship. That McCarthy-Jeffries connection is interesting, and it might have called for more investigation. Assault weapon bans were not included in a state gun reform measure, disappointing supporters as mass shootings continue to plague the nation. Later, Psaki interviewed Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a potential candidate for the presidency. Whitmer kept repeating that the conversation would go on, but Psaki made it clear that the subject of gun safety would come up frequently on the program. In a separate interview that was recorded, New York Mayor Eric Adams called for a real strategy with coordination on the topic of immigration and gave the show's lone criticism of the Biden administration. He took pains not to disparage Vice President Kamala Harris, calling the criticism of her unfair. Though Adams' segment was a part of a lighter, and occasionally fluffier, feature called Weekend Routine, in which Psaki will visit with political figures in settings typical to their daily lives, there was no further follow-up. Adams first encountered the mayor while riding the New York City subway, and then, while Psaki questioned him about the smoothie's contents, at Gracie Mansion. "Do you consume coffee?" she inquired. "Never," Adams answered. "There is no need for further action." The best parts of Psaki's show were when she drew from her own communications expertise, such as in a segment where she discussed the increasing use of the term woke by right-wing figures in GOP presidential candidates, and when she provided her own insider perspective on how the White House may react to Trump's arrest. She predicted that they wouldn't talk much about Trump's rage. They want to maintain a cool climate. However, they are keeping a careful eye on the situation and keeping an eye out for any threats, as they always should. Psaki promised that the show would feature people who are playing a role in making change happen as she concluded the hour. "I may or may not concur with some of them, and that's okay. That is how it ought to be since democracy actually benefits from robust disagreement." The extent of that disagreement raises an intriguing issue, such as whether she will ever speak out against a White House decision or if the show will ever be able to bring on Republicans and ardent Biden administration detractors. She is skilled at it as well. During her time as press secretary, Psaki engaged in a number of notable viral exchanges with journalists from right-leaning media.